A very good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with John Kay and Louise Minchin.
Hello. Our headlines today: calls for reforms to the A-level system after record results and concerns that poorer students are falling behind.
Wildfires have killed at least 42 people in Algeria as a heatwave continues to fuel blazes across the Mediterranean.
Good morning. There's a shortage of HGV drivers. How do you fancy driving one of these? It's leading to some shortages on shelves. I look at how COVID and Brexit have combined to cause it and what's being done to help.
It is finally official. After his tearful departure from Barcelona, Lionel Messi has joined Paris Saint-Germain in one of the biggest transfers in football history.
A very good morning from the Dorset coast, where conservationists have come up with an innovative idea to protect a tiny yet very precious creature, the spiny seahorse.
Good morning. It's a dry and a bright start across central and eastern areas this morning. We've already got some rain and brisk winds in the north and west, and through the day they'll travel eastwards, leaving brighter skies behind them. I'll have all the details in about 25 minutes.
Hello there, good morning. It's Wednesday, August the 11th, and our top story is there are calls this morning for reforms to the A-level system after this year's results saw record numbers of students given the top grades.
The government is considering a range of options for the future grading of results in England. Labour says the coronavirus pandemic has widened the gap between private and state schools. Simon Jones has this report.
A bumper year for top grades, with traditional exams replaced by teacher assessment.
I've got 3 A stars.
Oh my God, that's
Hard work rewarded after the most challenging of years, but concerns too about how the grades are being awarded. Overall, more than 44% of pupils received the top A star or A grades, but in private schools that figure was more than 70%. In comprehensives, it was just over 39%. Labour is asking why private schools did so much better.
That might be because they've had access to better learning facilities over the past year, access to remote learning or more resources in school. It may be that some parents have intervened more actively to encourage schools to give their children grades that would enable them to take up university places.
The Department for Education says there has been a rise in top grades for students from all backgrounds, and the relative increase of the proportion of top marks compared with last year is no higher in independent schools than in other schools. But the government may now consider changes over concerns about grade inflation. One possible idea is replacing the A star to E system with the numbers 9 to 1. There's also debate about how next year's exams should be run.
What we want from a national examination system, most importantly, is that all students are treated fairly and consistently with one another, that they have the same opportunity to demonstrate what they've learned, and that's what an exam system does.
The fairest means of assessing people is by continuous assessment. And the only way that can be done properly is if teachers are taught how to assess.
The pandemic has meant it's been a year of uncertainty, but how the exams will look in years to come is far from clear. Simon Jones, BBC News.
Well, let's see if we can get a bit of clarity from our political correspondent Adam Fleming. Morning to you. And there is pressure on the government to look at the system, isn't there?
Well, there's two issues that have emerged from this year's set of results that we got yesterday. The first one is that they're out of whack compared with previous years, with lots of A's and lots of A stars. And they're also out of whack, it seems, in that private schools and independent schools have given out more A's and A stars in proportion compared to other schools and to pupils from other backgrounds. Now, it's not clear what can actually be done about those two problems this year, other than individuals can make appeals to their individual marks, but that doesn't really affect the system overall. So the big question is, what does the UK do for its exam system next year? Because it's not just pupils sitting their exams this year who've had their education affected, it's years and years and years of children who've had their education affected as they go through the system. There was a consultation earlier this year run by the Department for Education and Ofqual, the exams regulator, looking at all sorts of things, like do you allow a slimmed down curriculum in some subjects? Do you give students a lot more advance notice about what they're going to be asked in exams to help them? And also, do you provide worksheets and materials in the exam room to help them? And then, as we were hearing there, this big idea of do you replace the letter grades for A-levels with numbers that look more like GCSEs? The government says that they'll look at the results of the consultation, which closed a couple of weeks ago, and also look at those responses to the consultation, also taking into account what's happened with the results this year as well.
Well, Adam, there, as you say, is so much to think about. Thank you very much. See you later.
6:05, and wildfires now in Algeria have killed at least 42 people, including 25 members of the military who were fighting those blazes.
Yeah, the fires have caused devastation in several Mediterranean countries in recent days, including Turkey, Greece and Lebanon and Cyprus. Our reporter Azadeh Mashiri has more.
Dozens killed and land scorched. Algeria is the latest Mediterranean country to face disastrous wildfires. More than 100 fires are raging in several provinces east of the capital, claiming the lives of both civilians and soldiers who were deployed to rescue Algerians from the flames. While some villages were evacuated, others stayed back, using tree branches to calm the flames.
There are fires everywhere. We have not seen the government here. We do not have a state. The people are the government. Long live the members from the civil protection teams.
The flames have burnt the country's famed olive trees and clouded the streets with smoke. These are becoming worryingly familiar scenes as wildfires continue to burn across several countries. Greece's Prime Minister apologised to the nation for the fires that have been tearing through since late July, and said climate change has fueled the wildfires, increasing the risk of hot, dry weather. His minister in charge of civil protection broke down when asked about the country's failings.
I want to say something. Every house that is lost is a tragedy for all of us and is a strike to our hearts. But what I know is that a massive battle was waged during recent days. We have all remained without sleep throughout all these days.
More high temperatures are expected in the coming weeks, meaning more land and lives could be vulnerable. Azadeh Mashiri, BBC News.
We've seen so many pictures of terrible fires all over the world over the last few days, haven't we? And here's the latest from California, where they're continuing to tackle wildfires there, which have now become the second largest ever in state history. This one is the Dixie Fire. It's already destroyed hundreds of buildings and entire communities. The authorities are warning there that it could take several more weeks to contain it. It's one of 11 major wildfires currently burning just in California.
President Joe Biden has said he has no regrets about pulling US troops out of Afghanistan despite advances by the Taliban. Violence has escalated across the country and the Taliban have taken at least 8 of the country's 34 provincial capitals. Mr. Biden urged Afghanistan's leaders to unite and fight for their nation.
The boyfriend of a British woman who went missing while hiking the Pyrenees last November has found her body.
37-year-old Esther Dingley from Durham had been walking solo in the mountains near the Spanish and French border.
Her partner, Daniel Colgate, had spent weeks walking hundreds of miles searching for her since she went missing, as Graham Satchell reports.
This is the last picture of Esther Dingley, a selfie taken high up in the Pyrenees sent to her boyfriend Dan in November last year. She'd been hiking on her own when she went missing. Esther and Dan had spent the last 7 years travelling around Europe in a camper van. They'd given up a successful business career for the freedom of the road after Dan had a life-changing health scare. Search teams combed mountain trails for weeks and weeks after Esther disappeared. Last month, a small piece of her bone was found next to animal remains. Now her body and belongings have been discovered by her partner Dan. He's walked hundreds and hundreds of miles looking for signs of her. In a statement, the charity LBT Global, which is helping the family, said, "At this stage, an accident is the most likely hypothesis. A full investigation is underway to confirm the details surrounding this tragedy." LBT Global are supporting Daniel and Esther's mother, Ria, as they come to terms with this news. Esther Dingley was 37, a confident solo hiker. Last year, Dan told the BBC she was doing what she absolutely loved to do and had never been happier. Graham Satchell, BBC News.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.